Welcome. This is a special report. This is the Eclipse Amplification and Embodiment. And this is truly for New Earth revelation in this beautiful year of 2020. Ascension Way Shower, Sandra Walter, is exquisite in the message that she shares. It is truly uplifting, and it is a reminder that we are here to fully embody as source. And this process is amplified as we are here in this incredible Trinity eclipse window. Let's welcome Sandra Walter, and thank you for being here and sharing this very sacred space with us today.
Oh, blessings, Loren, and everyone. It was kind of interesting. A couple of days ago, I had just put out my newsletter and I was thinking about everything that was going on right now. And even with all the preparation and comprehension of what's going on, I know it's been a really rough week. And then I got an email from you, just showed up in my inbox, and I was like, okay, we need to connect and just provide maybe a little grounding, a little anchoring, a little support for everyone because it's huge clearings, huge revelations that we're going through this year. And we're at the midway point, and we just started the eclipses, which is why things are getting more chaotic. And even though it was predicted, the experience is the experience is the experience, right? So it's a good time to check in with everyone and go, hey, how are you doing with this timeline division? How are you doing with what's happening in the external, looking so crazy and all these other things? And just kind of recenter everybody because we have some much stronger waves coming in, some real strong reality shifts and more divisions of the timelines and more brilliance and more embodiment through these eclipses. And like I said, even though it was predicted, the experience is profound and palpable and physicalized, and all the things that we were talking about is predicted for 2020 as they kind of come to light and get unveiled on a global level, pretty palpable to everyone that globally things are changing. um, it's the experience of us and our ascension as star seeds and way showers and light workers that we focus on. So it's just kind of a recentering practice. And I wanted to connect with you and our tribes and everything and just kind of see how everyone is doing.
Yes, see how everyone's doing as we come together like this and return our focus on the action or what's happening. It truly helps us feel better. Yet there are many, including myself, who in moments are overcome with grief, right? The timeline of wearing a mask, that was hard to handle. And I know that's for many light workers. But as you've shared in the past, we feel this embodiment in our body. And I know that so many who are watching this right now have always felt, well, maybe not always felt, but we remembered this bliss. We remembered this bliss. And that's why we came here. So to stay focused on really anchoring heaven within, that is so rewarding. And so the timelines that are playing out, let's clarify. It's not as if people are going to be on the wrong timeline. We're seeing the old timeline collapse and so many choosing peace to the point where, oh my gosh, when we really embody our higher self and divine source, can we imagine the solutions or the newness and the creativity that comes from that, the new earth that comes from that? And
Mhm.
so that's what you call revelation, as the old densities are amplified as they're being released, but what's coming in behind that is just so beautiful. So the goal is to keep ourselves focused on that light. Can you share more?
Yeah, well, I guess the important thing to comprehend is that it is quantum. We're seeing several things happen at once. So when we talk about freedom codes and somebody's personal journey is like, I don't see freedom or whatever. You have to approach it from a quantum unified level. And that is the Christ consciousness, having the cosmic perspective on all of this, realizing that the the divine gifts that 2020 is giving us, and this is, just the short list. Number one was death. The predictions for 2020, certainly getting everyone to deal with their fear of death. And this is all about transmuting these collective fears: fear of death, fear of being in the body, fear of not ascending for some people, getting afraid of that. It's just this death teaching us to treat being in the physical in a different way. Because as we go light body, there's less density, there's less attachment to the physical. And that in itself is a freedom code that's getting activated: freedom from fear of death. The dismantling of systems, the dismantling of old realities and old systems was the second top thing for 2020. And that became immediately clear. These predictions are from December, and that became immediately clear with the dismantling uh, of lower timelines, lesser realities that have no business with the ascension. So, literally, we were told in 2018, when we started embodying these higher frequencies, we were able to anchor it. And as conduits, crystallizing, you're going to see it, the crystallization of your own beingness, the Christedness of your own beingness starting to amplify the new light. And it brings all this stuff. It's like turning the light bulb on in the dirty closet. You get to see everything that you didn't see before. And that's all it's about, is just shining more light on this stuff that needs to be revealed. So dismantling, going into overdrive right now, just because those realities and those timelines are getting overwritten and riding, being overridden by the higher light. And the other thing to remember is that things are not as they appear. It looks like one thing, something else is actually happening. And that is breaking apart all of these bizarro magic spells that have been in play for quite a while. So it's actually breaking that stuff apart by allowing the collective to see one thing and then learn that it's about something else. But realize too, for those of you who are getting into all of the conspiracy, awakening to conspiracy is a whole different level than awakening to ascension. So a lot of people hitting that level right now, very important that a lot of people are, that stuff is getting revealed. But when you look at from the higher perspective, how all of these agendas are being used in order to bolster ascension and the higher Christed timelines, because we got the playbook, 20 years ago, and started going through all these agendas. Okay, how can they be used to actually amplify the ascension? That's what's happening now. All these people wake up, you got unity, you get revelation, you get higher choices, you get the collective saying no, you get the collective taken to the streets, which we have seen for years that this would happen, that people would actually find their voice and go, enough is enough. And you get the people who want to use it for something else, and they too are, it's all going to flip. All these things get flipped into actually assisting the ascension. So keep that in heart as you see this stuff unfolding in the collective and the external. Yes, a lot of it is really difficult to watch, and especially for those of us who are tapped in. I want to speak specifically to the starseeds that have vision and can see these things unfolding and know it looks like one thing, but another thing is happening. Or you look at the agenda and you know that something else is going to unfold, and we're just kind of holding our cards close right now and just kind of holding the energy field really strongly for the Christed timelines, because they are inevitable. And we know if we put all of our focus there, it's imperative that we attain this embodiment of that Christ itself, so that then we move on to the next phase of embodiment after the Trinitized beingness comes, being a pure conduit for God, for Divine Mother, for Heavenly Father, for the Paradise Sons and Daughters of God frequencies, for the Great Central Sun to come right through us. And that's why so many of us are getting into these bliss states, or completely different altered states of consciousness, or being knocked out by the rewriting of our DNA, or seeing the scintillating, dazzling, Christed strands reforming around our beingness. You'll see it row upon row upon row, the 144,000 light codes of that divine DNA activating, and it might look like golden diamond strands. A lot of us just seeing the helixes all over the place with this shining rainbow plasma light, because our rainbow light body is being activated during this passage. And there's a huge super wave coming with the second eclipse on the solstice to fully activate that. And we don't know exactly how it's going to unfold in the physical, but for us, every, everything this year is this physicalization of the etheric, what's already happened. Guy's already had her ascension. We've already put it's, again, it's quantum. You're looking down the timeline going, wow, there's that event, there's that event, there's that event. Now we get to physicalize it through these timelines. So that timeline structure is already there. That ascension path is already there. It's already happening in that future reality. We're just pulling in and through 0 point dynamics into this now through embodiment. So, this theme of physicalization of the etheric is pretty clear. Physicalization of all these etheric things that have been happening in the subconscious. There's a huge clearing of the subconscious going on with these freedom codes. And you can see it's pretty. This is going to be on YouTube, right? I don't want to break down your YouTube channel. So we'll just talk in code, I guess. But you can see the freedom codes hitting the darkest stuff first. So beginning of the year, those of you who were involved in that, by mid-March, we had freedom of the stuff that's going on, let's say behind the scenes, hitting the most distorted stuff first, clearing that out, freeing, um, let's say, children. So that happens first. Then you get into like the stuff that's embedded in the United States for freedom in the crystal beds. And that's been going on for quite a few decades. But now, like the all the enslavement stuff that has happened here in the United States, that got the Freedom Code activation during this last operation. So now we're getting all the enslavement stuff that's been caught in the subconscious of the United States, and now it's getting fed out through the whole world. It started here, again, using an event to create this clearing, to create this revelation, because you see the event, you're like, oh, all right, that's going to play out in a much more dimmed down way, believe it or not, than originally intended, because we're just using all these agendas to further the ascension, to further the unity consciousness. So it's releasing and getting people to look at, racism and all these different things that come from the enslavement codes that have been carried in all of us. It's not a black and white thing. All of us have been carrying that, and now as it comes to light, all of us taking a look at that and clearing it, choosing unity, choosing to allow all this stuff to transmute. And of course, it's going to come with violence, because it started with violence. So it's that too, it's going to have to be released. People are going to have to release the anger and the angst and the grief and all the stuff that comes with that. And you can feel that being collectively released. Be joyful that it's being released and allow yourself to feel it, because this is deep, the same stuff that the star seeds went through with the children a couple months ago. Now collectively people are going through this, with the, again, freedom code activation. And it'll continue to, now it's hitting the control structures and the oppression structures, and then it'll hit the finances, it's going to hit entertainment, it's going to hit the kingdoms and elementals. All these different levels of freedom continue to unfold, and it keeps going all the way through 2020. And this eclipse that's coming up with the solstice is attached to the one that happens on December 14th. Huge waves of light assisting the freedom of all of these realms, so that everyone has the choice to experience the Christed timelines. And those who are choosing to deny it or defy it or hold it back or whatever, that I'm I pray every day for those souls. Have some compassion and have some, just forgive them. It's, you don't have to be attached to that at all. You don't have to judge it at all. It is what it is. But I feel really, I'm just like, oh gosh, that's a wild path to ride through. Such a beautiful ascension process is happening right now, but it is what it is, and there's no, I'm divinely neutral about all the payback stuff. I'm like, you get what God's got coming to you. Just hands off that. You don't have to do anything. And for those star seeds who are attempting to use their influence to try and crush that stuff, you got to detach, honey. You got to detach from that completely. Use your power for good. Don't imitate the bad parents. Don't imitate that kind of behavior. It puts you in a different state of consciousness altogether. But the other exciting thing that's happening, Loren, is these solar flashing Christed activations that have been going on since December. Full body rewrites that are so divine and put you in such a different state of consciousness, and it's spreading. That's the beautiful thing. It's spreading through the collective right now, and more people are having these, and I'm very excited about that, because we're not sure. When we start experiencing it back in December, there were a few people working with their DNA that were able to connect with the sun that way and experience, and it's like nothing you've experienced before. Full body rewrite. You feel like, oh my gosh, this is the moment. I'm gone. I'm disappearing. You feel it, your whole body and everything. It's a full body rainbow light body activation. And of course you settle back in, because this is physicalization of the etheric. So it happens on this etheric level, and then it gets physicalized. It's so wild. And you'll see your skin is like just glistening in the sun and everything after this, in a brand new way. There's a bioluminescence uh, coming into play. I'm very excited about that.
All right. I know I'm not the only one that says I want what she's having. So, this experience, we're going to talk about the eclipses too and the energies,
Yeah.
um, but physicalizing the etheric. And so, for those who want what she's having, can you share the connection with the sun? It really is the zero point 0.2. What is the process for that?
Well, it takes an ascension process. Really, it takes ascension practices. If you're somebody who's regularly doing the meditations and clearing your fields and has done the emotional clearing, has done the work, you're up for this. And you can connect with the sun, of course, if you've been doing gate work and grid work, for a while, it's going to be a natural connection. Your heart center is connected to these brand new Stargate flows that have been open since January 13th. It's an organic Stargate system that is reconnecting us with brotherhoods and sisterhoods in other star systems, different planets, different cosmic frequencies. And of course, your gateway is through the sun. So if you can lay in the sun, get out on the sun, get out on Gaia, lay down because you won't be able to stay upright during the activation. Lay down, connect your heart center to the sun, be prepared for it. Kind of comes out of nowhere. You invite it in. Ask higher self, Christ itself, Almighty I am, if I am fully prepared for this experience, let's go. Show me. And you ask to experience the solar flashing activity that is already in progress. It's been already in progress since 2016. And again, this physicalization of the etheric starts to happen. And you'll feel you close your eyes, connect with your third eye vision. And in your vision, it looks like the sun is exploding, which we've seen for years. But all of a sudden, the sun gets closer and closer, and you're like, oh dear God, this is the moment, right? It's like this, it feels like that is happening in this now because you're in this 0 point moment of experiencing what's happening down the timeline for everyone in this now. So it's giving you that experience. We're grounding that experience into the collective because it's incredible DNA activation. So this 0 point collapse happens and you feel the sun just taking over the entire the entire operation. It feels like a universal lighting up, not just Gaia, not just you. It feels like everything is gone. Your body goes away, your light body goes away. There's barely a consciousness to identify with, and you get this unification with source self that is so pure and so still and so beautiful. And you feel it, the mental levels will start to go, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. Oh my gosh, I'm disappearing. And you calm down and come back into your heart center. Okay, shush, 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 let it happen. Let it happen. You breathe through it and you'll feel your whole body just goes away. You go total, it's just like plasma light everywhere after this 0 point thing, and then plasma light everywhere. And you slowly come back into your body. It lasts like 10 to 20 minutes where you feel like, oh my God, here I go, here I go. Surrender, surrender, surrender. It's training you to surrender, that when these higher activations happen, you can be calm and release and allow that to occur. Because, of course, the steps in embodiment are that trinitized beingness and then complete surrender into the divine unknown. So you're experiencing that. We're experiencing this a little ahead, just like everything else, for the last couple of decades, just experiencing everything else a little ahead so that we're anchoring it into the human collective. And you come back into your body, you'll feel yourself start to come back into the physical, and you feel complete calm and bliss, probably exhaustion. You probably have to lay down after that, integrate, drink some water, come back into the the waking consciousness because it feels like an altered reality altogether. And then you're back, and it'll keep happening. That's the thing. It happens once. The first one is probably the most difficult because a lot of people will blow it. They'll get too mental about it, get too scared. Oh my gosh, I'm disappearing. It feels very different if you haven't worked with expanding your torus fields. All of a sudden, your torus fields go kaboom with this light infusion, and it might freak you out if you haven't experienced that or haven't been working on kind of expanding your fields. And that energy, again, that anchoring that energy is working in tandem with these cosmic super waves, if you want to call them that, that have been coming in for the last couple of weeks. Strong divine feminine, strong divine mother energy, kind of knocking the dominoes over, because it's a very strong snowballing effect, and it's plowing right through all of these timelines, all of these realities, all these realms for what 2020 is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to look like one thing, but another thing is happening. And remember, those are layered realities, different bandwidths. It's quantum. So don't get attached to it's only this, it's only that. That's duality. Don't get attached, don't get kind of trapped in or swayed into I want this, I want that. I want this, I want that. I love that latest crop circle from May 26th. It's a big circle. It's got a pendulum in the middle, and the pendulum is a heart, and the heart is in the middle point, and there's olive branches on both sides. 9 leaves this way, 9 leaves that way, and that's 9 is completion, right? So you're not swinging one way or the other. Boom, we have been preaching divine neutrality for years. Divine neutrality is it. That's the 0 point. That's where you need to be in order for this to happen to you, and that's pushing us into a completely different experience. And I love that the freedom codes are doing what they're doing to the collective right now, because it's training people to not judge over and over and over again. This is get out of your judgment, get out of your judgment, even judgment of the it's not just racism, or racism is good, racism is bad, police are good, police are bad. It's training people. You gotta, yeah, you gotta get into non-judgment.
Yes, it's exhausting. It's exhausting,
To
the
watch
judgment. To
to
be
to watch.
to I mean, it can even come down into face masks, right? And you know
Yeah.
what I think? Here's this, it may be interesting right now in the collective for anyone to agree on anything about anything, but what we can agree on, this is the beautiful, the freedom codes in action, like you're talking about. What we can all agree on is that we want happiness, peace, harmony, freedom, justice. So as we look at this year, this understanding helps us see what's happening and unfolding, and it really makes us feel much better. And again, the potential is just so awesome to really look at it and see, could you imagine if we don't have a police force anymore? Something that wild and dramatic. But this goes beyond that as well. When you look at 2021, we're still going to be talking about 2020 and the eclipses.
Mm.
But what does 2021 look like for you?
Completely different state of consciousness. But that's because of my timeline choice. Honestly, I'm I'm unsure about what folks who want to watch it burn, or want to be entangled, or fight, 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 fight to the bitter end. I really don't know. I really don't. I'm not attached to that consciousness any longer. I'm just like, let you have your journey kind of thing. Because I know what my job is. That's the thing. You get to put the crown on your head. You get to Christ yourself. You get to choose. That's your choice. And when we talk about honoring choices, I mean, people are talking about racism and things like that. And for those of us who have been exposed to aliens and ETs and different races and different forms of consciousness altogether, that kind of perspective, you kind of look at what's going on Gaia right now, on our lower realms, and go, oh wow, it is what it is, and absolutely no judgment, because it's needed. It's needed to release that, because it's preparing people to accept people that look different, different forms of consciousness, different opinions about everything. about how things work and to kind of break apart all these. Again, it's dismantling of old systems, old energy systems, old ways of dealing with the physical, ways of dealing with God, ways of dealing with love and unity. And you can see more and more unity when you really focus on it. You see more and more unity all the time. We saw it with the bug. We're seeing it with the what's going on now with the protests. You're seeing more unity, and yet there are people who want you to focus on the negative thing. Things are not as they appear, beloveds. Just let it go. You get to choose your reality. If anything, it's really pushing us into learn the creator state of consciousness. Learn how to use your unity consciousness. And that's something that even the star season light workers, working it out. It's just, if people want to be polarized about ways and methods and everything, they get to transmute that too. Let it go. Let it go. What's the goal? What's your intention? If your intention is unity, consciousness, and love, let it be. Apply that. You really need to apply your mastery skills during this period, and not paint everything with the same brush. Well, if it isn't this, then it must be that. Or if that part of my just back up and view it from the God consciousness. Well, if that part of my consciousness is screwed up or distorted, then everything must be not true. So you really have to look at everything and go, wait a minute, let me just back up to the cosmic perspective, knowing that all of this can be disassembled in a moment, and shall be disassembled in several cosmic moments as we go through this. So yeah, it's exciting. It's sad that it has to unfold in this way, but trust me, it could have been a lot worse. So realize we're getting the maximum amount of ease and grace while still obeying cosmic law, because you have a lot of people still using their consciousness to say they're going to do this, that's going to happen, and this is going to happen. They said this, they're going to do that to us. A lot of people still running that program. Unplug from those inorganic things that are attempting to use your consciousness to create things, and override it with that shall not be. You know, command the higher thing. Just whip out your DNA decrees and start start going at it. Override, override, override. We have the power to do that and are implementing that. And remember that the higher your vibration is, the more influence you have by quantum effect. Higher vibration always lifts up and dismantles a lower, always. So remember that the higher your vibration, the more impact you have on your personal and collective realities. And when you link together with the other folks in that high vibration, extremely powerful, extremely powerful. Just a reminder not to get entangled or overstimulated. If you're looking at that stuff, don't get overstimulated, or remember that the optic nerve is very sensitive during this time. So
Mm.
if you want clarity, this whole 2020 vision, 2020 hindsight thing that's happening this year, if you really want that clarity, you can't be just ladling your brain and your optic nerve with images of negativity and distortion or sadness. There's a lot of that out there. So if you're just getting on the Twitter feed and just kind of getting the dopamine hit, stop. Stop.
Yes. Thank you for that. I'm guilty. I take a peek at it. Yeah. But this is very powerful in staying on point and on purpose. Thank you for that. Um,
Mhm.
so, and you've answered someone's question about how you really get out of that collective programming. You just override it, override it, override it,
Just unplug.
unplug.
Unplug from it. Realize that it's all, I know everyone says, "Oh, it's just an illusion or whatever," but when the real hits the real, people are like, "Oh my gosh!" And they're like, "I thought you said it was an illusion," you know. So remember that you're in charge of where you direct your consciousness and how your experience will unfold. And I look at all the beautiful light workers and star seeds that are showing up, and it does not matter if they are, there are star seeds that are not, going out and doing grid work and gate work and everything. They're the ones showing up and hugging the cops and all that stuff that's going on. I'm like, there they are, there they are, there they are. You can see people dancing together now, for goodness sake. It's like you got to see what's actually happening and focusing on that rather than where the lamestream wants to steer your consciousness. So yeah.
Yes. And I want to reiterate Christed timelines are inevitable. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful.
They're already running. Oh, we wouldn't have be having the experiences that we're having. We're writing the higher timelines, and anchoring those for everybody. That's already occurred. It's inevitable. All the people that are saying, "Oh my gosh, it's going to crash" or whatever. Yeah, those lower realities, yeah, they're going to break apart. But the higher thing, the thing that's happening right now, there's so much good happening. And as a rep for the alliances, wow, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Again, it looks like one thing. It's it's going forward with as much ease and grace as possible. Realize you have some really strong energies that don't want things to happen. They're getting their ass kicked right now. So, and I want to remind everyone, cornered wildcats are very unpredictable. When you're dealing with bullies and people that have been the bully, been the boss for a long time, and you get this huge infiltration, um, that's it's dangerous. So please send as much love and light to the positive alliances and to all the people risking their lives and a lot of them giving their lives to these operations and the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. You don't need to know or identify or search for who they are. You will never know who they are. These are a lot of them divine beings that have chosen to play roles. And I'm not talking about the stuff that's on TV and Twitter and everything like that. People that you'll never know about. Send as much love and light to the positive alliances as possible, because they are literally giving their entire life streams, some of them several life streams, to what's happening right now to benefit the whole. So when it comes to dismantling and the things that you're seeing, don't make any assumptions, beloveds. Send your light to everyone, and don't be selective about who you send your light to, because if you send light to everyone, there are some there's some consciousness that is blinded by that, and it's easier to deal with blinded wildcats than if there's so much light they literally can't see. So it's just send as much light as possible in a peaceful, divinely neutral way for highest and best interests of all concerned, with a pure and true organic ascension, and let God handle it.
All right, let God handle it. That is the embodiment, the trinitized beingness, and the pure conduit for God, surrendering to that. Thank you. This has been very uplifting, Sandra. And I'm sending lots of love and light to that big old helicopter that just flew over my house and shook my room. It was wild.
Mm.
Okay. Um, Let's talk about the eclipses. There's three of them, right? And there was one yesterday. We're still in the energies of this. Can you share on that?
Yeah, this first one was all about the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of light giving us divine dispensations and the kind of rainbow light body activation, crystalline light body activations that are going on for the past week have been very strong. But for those of us who are connected to Great White Lodge of Sirius, which includes, it's not just Sirians, it's Lyran, Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedan, Sirian alliances, uh, which may present as ascended masters to a lot of people when we talk about brotherhoods and sisterhoods of light. Uh, that galactic lineage or galactic operation that's was overlighting this part of the ascension, because it does expand. It the ascension process continues to expand, but for this gateway, these windows that we're going through right now, that were key to the higher timelines, that was being overlighted by a lot of these different alliances, and the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of light can provide for their representation, their representatives, which is a lot of way showers, a lot of star seeds, a lot of folks here who have felt that resonation um, with those lineages are getting beautiful dispensations right now. And I have to say, the amplification that was provided by this eclipse that started with the new moon, and we've seen what has happened over the last week with this amplification. Just a huge amount of freedom codes, again, deeply connected to the crystal beds in the United States, and people who are carrying those freedom codes in their DNA, and that gets activated. It's a collective human consciousness. So it creates this balancing and stability for the cosmic superwave that's coming, which is this really interesting galactic alignment and opening of these cosmic stargates with this new organic substance. It's like you can feel it. It's this plasma, of course. It's very flowy plasma, a form of water. So it's delivering these these new sensations. And I know for myself, over the last couple of days, I've felt this just head to toe surges, plasma surges of this very scintillating, sparkling, dazzling DNA strand effect coming into my fields, and that kind of rainbow plasma light body is a very pastel, vibrating substance. But you kept feeling these surges through the heart, and then this head to toe, and it was just, you would lay down and just all night long, just joom, joom, joom. I'm like, wow, this stuff is really anchoring in, right? Because we serve as open conduits for that. So that's what the brotherhoods and sisterhoods are delivering right now, is this next rebundling, next layers of the DNA. It's a ninth layer of DNA that allows, of course, it's all quantum, so you can't amplify one strand without hitting the rest of them. So it's a quantum effect, but that's it's once you hit that ninth level layer strand, you can't create distortion anymore. So it's anchoring that in. No more distortion, no more distortion, which in effect allows all the distortion, around us to get amplified, revealed, released, amplify, reveal, release over and over again through 2020. Comes to light, gets revealed, everybody deals with it, uprising, whatever it needs, release. And then there's a calm, a balance of we're all at a higher level, unity, revelation. And people get as much time as they need to integrate that into their own hearts. Most of the collective has no emotional clearing skills. So that's where our teachers and our way showers really need to show up right now, is in that level of service. Let me assist you if they ask. I can offer you assistance with that, or here's some tools, or just check in. Ask people, how do you feel right now? Because a lot of them don't know that it's okay to express yourself. You give them a safe space to express whatever it is they're feeling so that, again, it can be ousted from their subconscious fields that are dominating their DNA. The DNA is dominated by the subconscious until you do all the clearing, and then you can let the higher light start to activate more and more DNA strands or fields so that you get the broader perspective, the heart perspective, heart coherence. Now that this is getting so coherent right now. It's quite beautiful. So this super wave that we have coming in, solstice. Oh my gosh, solstice. Solstice and an eclipse on the same within hours of each other, which is quite incredible. Happens on the same day for those in the Pacific time zone, but it's a galactic convergence. It's an alignment with the galactic ecliptic. It's the Earth, the Sun, the Moon are all aligned with the galactic ecliptic and the galactic center. And these ancient celestial pathways open, and this brand new energy starts surging in. And we know, beloveds, we are wise enough. Please engage your divine wisdom to know that the external always looks chaotic when these super waves come in. So don't attach to, I thought it was going to be one thing and it's another. Ride your higher timeline through this. That doesn't mean you ignore or deny what other people's experiences are. You can walk around with a mask honoring the people who are scared. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to a starseed who has their heart open and their divine. You're not walking around judging people who have masks. It's like it's just a game. Oh, we're playing mask right now. Just keep that perspective. Keep that perspective. And when it comes to the immense amount of wounding that's clearing right now in the collective, and all the suppression and all the freedom codes and everything that are stepping up, really maintain that perspective as we go through these amplifications, because there is no pause between what's happening now, what's happening with the eclipse and the solstice, and what's happening with the eclipse on July 4th, which is Independence Day. So this window is tight. This is only 5 weeks. And it's not like, oh, and now we can rest and integrate. And then here comes a super wave. It's already here. We're going so quantum with this stuff, and it's so 0 point. You're feeling it already. We felt it since the beginning of the year. Oh my gosh, 2020. Here we are again, snowballing. Divine Mother kicked the domino already. Doom, 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 doom. One thing after the other. It is up to us, starseeds, light workers, way showers, all of us who are awakened to the ascension, to hold the balance, within. You don't have to take on everybody else's stuff. What you have to do is maintain your own emotional balance, the mental balance, the physical balance, the spiritual balance. Allow the activations to integrate, to land, to physicalize, and know that your brothers and sisters that are taking on rainbow light body, don't worry about us. Please celebrate the divine victories across the board. If someone just had an awakening, celebrate them. If somebody just had a light body activation, celebrate them. Feel it, send it out every morning after you do your meditations and you feel into your highest timelines to create that. Take a moment to send out your divine love and divine light and divine support to everybody who's working for the good right now, and everybody who's experiencing awakening, ascension at whatever level. Just send out your love and say, go for it. We fully support you. You have to remember there's only one of us here. Fully support that awakening. So this whole like old earth, old new age thing of like judging where people are in their process or whatever, all that egoic stuff, gone, right? Learn how to speak it, learn how to feel it, Learn how to support that wherever people are, and know your role. Know your role too, so that if you say, well, I can't help you with that, but here's somebody who can. And we're working as one now. So when it comes to the services and the support and everything, I'm constantly sending people to other specialists who do things that I don't do, and people are sending people to me that do what I do. So it's, there's we're supporting everybody right now, whatever level they're at, but be sure that you just send out huge amounts of love to everybody who's awakening and everybody who is supporting unity in any way they can.
Thank you, Sandra. I know that so much love is coming from this group, from everyone watching and who watches the recording to our planet. And that really is uplifting. It just makes me want to cry, actually, right here. And I wish I could sing really good because I'd whip into that song. I just want to celebrate a brand new way of living. Somebody help me here. Anyway, I love what you said. There's only one of us here. That's profound. And I think we really are witnessing this. As you said, we wear a mask to honor other people and to be considerate. So that's beautiful. This is really a beautiful perspective today. And I hope that everyone is uplifted from this message. Sandra, that's what makes you this beautiful way shower. I came to you and I actually use the word leadership, and you're like, no, that's not the vibe. And it's true. It's leadership is the way shower, the way shower, the embodiment. That's the way, and it's such a
Yes.
beautiful message.
Yeah, the becoming. And that's the thing is honor your honor your own process. Everyone who is fighting for the voice right now. That's a huge thing in the collective right now. Fantastic, right? Fight for your voice, fight for your right to be heard. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And also honor where you are in your process and don't feel guilty about the goodness that you feel when everything in the external is telling you, how dare you feel good right now? How dare you talk about the Christ and the ascension and everything when things are falling apart? That's been the on the conversation. I mean, pardon me, that's a really old conversation, because for decades we've been the ones talking about something that other people could not see, could not feel, had no comprehension of. And now that it's become widespread and the realities are dividing, timelines dividing, and again, we're migrating as many willing hearts to the higher timeline as possible, many different realms to go into with Gaia, 7 different realms of that ascended platform to go in. So some of them are just, at the just hitting unity consciousness. Oh, love is the answer. And then some of us really going for like super, starseed light body, universal level. But that's all that Gaia is providing for us right now. So don't feel guilty if there's anything as a seasoned way shower embodier that I can provide for people. Don't feel guilty about your experience and how you're feeling, because back in the day when you were the only one awake and all that stuff, yeah, you had a lot of pushback. How dare you talk about that when things are so bad, kind of thing. Now it's just amplified. 2020 is turn the volume up to 13, divine mother, wang, it's like, it just, the amplification is loud. That means really loud amplification of the dismantling and a really loud amplification of the embodiment and the ascension. So don't allow other people to judge. Well, I mean, they can judge, they can do whatever they like. Just stay in your heart, stay neutral about that, and empower your right to talk about it, empower your right to feel the way that you feel about certain leaders, whatever. I don't get involved in politics, but there's a lot of judgment about politics because it's an election year in the United States on top of everything else. So try not to get entangled with that too much. Just stay on your path. You get to direct your path. That's anything that we can share with everyone is you empower your experience. So however you want to write it, that's how it's going to be. So collectively, yes, very powerful for collective experiences, but you get your own unique expression. There's no two things in this entire universe that are on the same vibration. That's how God has this experience. Everything is vibrating a little bit differently, a little bit unique. There's no vibrational match of anything. But when you get close, then you get collective experiences. So empower your collective experience of whatever you would like to experience, but also truly honor your own voice and your own journey through this whole thing. Hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we are floating in the higher consciousness perspective, feeling unity consciousness on a whole new level, and really fortified from this tumultuous week. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sandra. You have mentioned that Gaia is a living library, and she literally has all of our lifetimes on her and that information available to us, and that this process of bringing the living library online, that's our wisdom. As we wrap up our session today, can you share a little bit more about how we access or communicate with that living library?
Yeah, well, meditation is key, of course, to get into the stillness where you can actually access that. But the light coming in right now is activating things within Gaia. Ancient stargates are really going to pop during the solstice. So pay attention, prepare yourself for that now. It's happening now. But what's happening is there's frequencies that unlock the living library within the DNA. So the DNA is creating your experience. It vibrates in tandem with the living library stuff that's encoded in the caves of creation, which is a crystalline structure that we all come in through and leave through. So there's caves of creation, living library, DNA, living library. So they all coordinate. It's like a little trinity in itself. They all coordinate to unlock everything that you've ever been. So through this 0 point thing that we're experiencing now, which a lot of us are anchoring through that solar flash slash 0 point slash Christed activation thing that's happening right now. It's all we're using different terms for the same thing. It's a collapsing of the field so something new can be birthed. As that happens continually through this, we keep getting that's what the flash is about. It's like implosion, explosion, implosion, explosion. As that happens and gets anchored, you start unlocking parts of your DNA and the living library that Gaia is. And there's a lot of wisdom there. You're not going back to what you were. You're actually connecting to a future self that embodies all of that, paying forward the good, paying forward the lessons, paying forward the wisdom so that you can then turn into the next evolved version of yourself, of your higher self. So that's what that's about. So the more that you meditate, you're going to want to fast for a couple of days, to allow the DNA to reset. Use the DNA decrees. If you haven't worked with DNA before, those are free on my website. Understand that the freedom codes too affect everyone differently. So whatever you've got in your subconscious, the more you release that, the more you do emotional clearing, the more you express that. It doesn't have to be to the outside world, just to yourself. If you want to journal through it or go to the woods and speak to God, uh, it just needs to be expressed at this point. But all of that will allow you to unlock that wisdom, meditate on it, ask for it, Don't beg the universe for it. Ask get in the cosmic powwow with your team, your higher aspects. Ask the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of pure light and service to the pure and true organic ascension to provide that activation for you. And then feel it, light ground it into the physical. Again, everything getting physicalized this year. Write it down, express it through art, speak it, do a blog, whatever it is that's your expression, ground it into the physical so that it shares it through these realms. I hope that helps.
Beautiful. That does help. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you. This is why we came to this planet. This is why we came. And we're in it now. We're in deep shift. Okay.
Yeah.
Sandra, you have said so many beautiful words today, and I know we're so inspired and uplifted. But as we close, I want to just give you that moment to just wrap it and put a little cherry on top.
Yeah. Everyone, just come right into your heart center. Take a breath, hands on the heart. Breathe. Do this often. Feel that divine spark you are. Know there is nothing here but love, and everything else is just the dismantling of the distortion. Have deep compassion for where everybody is in their journey. And as we are as a collective, deep compassion, deep love, deep unity, unify, assist, support everywhere that you can. Connect with Gaia and the kingdoms and the elementals as often as possible, and don't ignore humanity and what they're going through right now. Let's just send a big love wave out with the diamond solar light coming right through our divine DNA, lighting up all the human hearts, lighting up the crystalline new earth grids, the divine stargates, sending our love out through the Gaia realms to the solar realms, to the galactic center, to the great central sun, unifying and just sending that wave out through the great central sun as the great central sun, breathing out the waves of love, peace, and ascension in this now, out through, creating those harmonic sounds, tones, colors, cosmic rays of evolution, divine frequencies, out through the realms, all galaxies, all solar systems, all planets, all expressions of creation, divine clarion call, unity, love, peace, harmony, grace, divine beingness. I am. So it is. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sandra Walter, this has been so beautiful, and we are so grateful. And I want to remind everyone to connect in. Sandra has been leading Unity meditations. Actually, we've been all meeting in the Unity meditations from our silent, sacred silent space Sundays, 11:11 a.m. Pacific time, but also is it 5:11 and 8:11 a.m. Pacific time. And those are beautiful. And we can really sense and feel each other there. So we invite everyone to continue and thank you for sharing in that space. Sandra, I just want to give you a huge etheric hug, and we're all giving you a huge group hug. Let's give our whole group a huge hug.
Love you all so much. There's so much love here. Just keep focused on the love. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sandra. All right, everyone. We'll have this up on a replay and we'll catch you next time. Want to thank everyone for being here, and thank you for radiating your light and assisting in this now moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste. Bye bye.